everybody. Welcome to This Day. It is Saturday, July 3rd. Tomorrow is July 4th. Yay! Hopefully you'll find some fireworks to see, but we will definitely have a list for you later in our program. All right, today on our show, in preparation of fires and potential disasters, we talk to the Orange County Fire Authority, and of course we go over disaster preparedness. Now this is obviously with one of our captains, and he goes over all the things regarding fire safety as well as barbecue safety, and also if there was going to be a disaster, how to prepare for that. Then we also talk with Paul Ortiz, who is part of the Thrive program here in Laguna Woods Village, and he's got some information for us regarding that very nice program. Okay, let's take a look at our weather. It is looking quite nice, of course, right for our holiday weekend. Today we are looking at 79.63 after we burn off the fog. Then tomorrow for our 4th of July, we have 81.64, looking pretty good. Then on Monday, 79.63. If you are traveling in the state of California, you want to take a look at these numbers. Looking really nice at the beach, 72.64, Santa Barbara 72.61. San Diego 73.66, and the Tahoe area 82.53, Big Bear 79.50, and Mammoth 78.48. If you are heading to the desert, we are looking at warm temperatures in Palm Springs, 110 with an overnight of 83, and Las Vegas is 107.86. Now our sunrise this morning was at 5:45, and our sunset will be at 8:05. And Joel, thank you so much for sending in this gorgeous photo of Notre Dame. Wow, that is really amazing. So thanks for sending that in. And if you have a photo you'd like to share with us and our community, please email it to lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. All right, stick around. We're going to go over all disaster preparedness with you with the Orange County Fire Authority. Stay tuned. Bird has a name. It's Larry. The infamous bluebird of social media was named after former NBA player Larry Bird, who used to play for Twitter co-founder Biz Stone's home state team, the Boston Celtics. Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Tang Wen, who is here on behalf of the Orange County Fire Authority. Well, Tang, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm really glad that we were finally able to get you guys to come back on because, you know, there wasn't hardly any rain or any snow for that matter. So I think we have a big concern coming up here with wildfires. So I'm really glad we could take the time now before it starts to get really warm. Just in general, let's take an overview of what we were dealing with last, this whole year, that there really wasn't a whole lot of rain.
Yeah, that's correct. 2020 was something, wasn't it? I mean, with everything that went on top of it, we had almost zero rain this winter. And up in the mountains, our snowpack is pretty lean. So that's pretty concerning to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you had mentioned that you have some associates that are in the area up in Northern California, and that we're looking at no snowpack, and even some of the lakes are low, which is surprising because I had not heard that.
Yeah, so I can't speak for all of the lakes and mountains throughout California, but he's in the Eastern Sierras right now on vacation, and he shared pictures, and the lake was pretty dry. And the surrounding mountaintops, the snowpack was lean and sparse.
Well, right, and even our local mountains, Big Bear and some of that, I mean, that really doesn't benefit us for the most part. However, wouldn't it help with some of the creeks that we have in some of the back areas, like where Silverado Canyon is?
As far as the water supply goes, it's really dependent on well, obviously the annual rainfall and the snowpack, and that's something that our water departments handle primarily. Where we come in is that we're looking at the fuel load and the concern of how dry they become, and then is there adequate spacing between homes and the fuel that's out there that's really susceptible to burning.
Right, now let's talk about the plants and the vegetation itself. I mean, there's a way to look at it to see just how dry it is and what should be concerning.
Yeah, so as far as the fuel goes, without getting super technical here, we measure it in the size and the load of the fuel. So your grass is, what we consider as our 1 hour fuel, and that's the amount of time that it actually takes to dry it out or to moisten, and to humidify it. So, we have a lot of that, and if we do get a fire that starts in that grass, that gets it going pretty fast, and then it butts up against your thick brush and your trees, and then off to the races we go.
Wow. So what are some of the major concerns? Are you more concerned about people maybe driving at some of maybe the toll road areas and some of that drier stuff, maybe pulling over and having an issue with their car, or throwing stuff out the window like a cigarette butt?
Excellent questions. If you just because you may live in an area that's away from the brush, you could be traveling in those areas. And so your question is spot on, where you got to be careful what you're doing, because if you are smoking and you throw out a cigarette butt, that's all it takes. The first major wildfire I went to in 2017 for that season was the result of a truck pulling a trailer, and the chain was hanging, and it was just banging against the street and causing sparks, and that's what caused a 10,000 acre fire. And it's just right adjacent to the dry grass. So it's those things, whether it's intentional or not intentional, it's there. So we got to be super cautious about that.
Well, exactly. And then you did mention about keeping the distance between the wild land and a backyard. I know for our Laguna Woods residents, most of them don't have to worry about things like that, but there is some open area.
Yes. And I've driven through the area, and we traditionally, you look at Laguna Woods, we're not thinking of the wildland urban interface that most people think of. However, we do have vegetation around the area, so it's everybody needs to take an active part in making sure that they're protected. I've always said it is that it's a team effort to keep everybody safe. It's not just us. If you're just relying on us, then you didn't take the steps to mitigate some of the problems that could have been mitigated.
Right. Now, there was that really large fire that was out off of the 241 there, and it was very concerning to people here, primarily because of the air quality. I mean, the air quality here was just horrible because all the smoke just came towards the community. So when we have things like that, obviously the fire is far away. We didn't have to be too concerned about the actual flames. But when it came to the smoke, I mean, boy, it was pretty concerning.
Yes, indeed. And a lot of the times we have Santa Ana winds that are blowing. And so everybody downwind from the fire is going to get that smoke. And it affects everybody. It's an Orange County thing. It's not just a canyon thing. It's not just a Laguna Woods thing. It's everybody. So one of those things that we encourage people on those smoky days when an active fire is occurring in the county is to limit your outdoor activity. Mm-hmm. And if you have the ability to, close your doors, close your windows, and limit your outside activity and prevent that smoke from getting in. The reality is, those things take days to put out, to extinguish out. And if that wind is carrying it, you're going to be exposed to it.
Now that we've got a boatload of masks available to us in our home, is that something that we could consider using if we were outside, or you had to go outside when the air quality was bad? Does it help?
It's not 100% coverage. It's not 100% filtration. And it really depends on what kind of mask you're using. If you're using the N95 mask, which has a 95% filtration, effectiveness, then you're better protected. However, most of the masks that we're all wearing, with the cloth and stuff like that, it limits it. However, it's still better than just walking out freely and not having any sort of protection.
Okay, so that, I mean, that is something that if you had to go out, you could potentially use that. So that's good. That's good. And then, what are some things like individually that we can do to prevent forest fires from happening? I mean, I know we have a barbecue restrictions here in the community, and because I guess that just does cause fires.
Yes. So basically anything you do with heat, you run the potential. And, we've been around doing this long enough where you can't make some of the stuff up, the scenarios that cause a fire. And so we just ask that if you are using anything that's heat related, open flame, that you got to make sure that you're on top of it. One of the common things that we see when we investigate a fire after extinguishing it is that we determine that the fire was left unattended. That's a lot of the accidental stuff. And so we want to make sure that people, if you are going to barbecue, especially now that we're going into the summer months and there's holidays and people are getting together, is that you have to keep an eye on your barbecues, and in fact, you're cooking inside also.
Right. Now, when in your kitchen, when you have a fire, do you always have to have a fire extinguisher, or what is another way to put that out?
Well, it sure doesn't hurt to have a fire extinguisher. However, if you do have a fire, you got to remember is that fire needs oxygen, to keep burning. And so one thing that you can do right away is that if you have a stovetop fire, on a pan or something like that, real quick fix, put the lid right over it. You're going to smother it.
Okay.
And yeah, that's an excellent way. I was actually at a Super Bowl party years ago, and unfortunately the 49ers lost that year, but that's beside the point. They were baking something, and fortunately people were in the kitchen, noticed that it caught fire. And, if you're not used to seeing fire, you could get excited pretty easily.
Yeah.
And, I came in, I looked at it, I just go, well, you know what, turn it off and let's just keep the door closed to the oven. And then it went out. So that's one of the best things that you can do if you don't have a fire extinguisher. And in fact, I would encourage that. And then if you had to, then use the fire extinguisher.
Right. Oh, that's good. I'm sure people are like, oh my God, we have to put out the fires.
Yeah. But the one thing you don't want to do is throw water on your pan that's on the stovetop, because what you do when you have all that grease and oil that's cooking is that you actually splash it all over your walls, and yeah, you're going to create a bigger fire.
A bigger fire. Okay. Now, some people here are aware of our disaster preparedness to-go bags. Give me an idea of why we would need one.
Well, so we're talking wildfire, and it's fresh in our memories because we had some significant fires in last year, and so it's fresh, and we're encouraging people to build on that. So don't let it get out of your mind where we don't think about it any longer. In Laguna Woods, we're not in the wildland urban interface, like we typically think of. However, the potential is there. All it takes is the wind to change directions and come right back, and you're caught off guard if you haven't thought about it. The go bag is also effective for our other emergencies that can occur. We haven't had a major earthquake in a while, and that's something that everybody should consider. So I say the go bag is not just for fire exclusively; it's for any sort of disaster where, at a moment's notice, we're encouraging or we're ordering people out of their homes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny that you mentioned the earthquake thing. I was just thinking about that this morning. I kid you not, because I moved recently and I was thinking, we haven't had an earthquake in a while. Where am I going to go? And so I was thinking of my plan. Mm-hmm. Because I've been in so many of them, living in California for so long, and the 1971 earthquake up in Northridge. So I certainly think about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or having a plan is always key.
Yeah, and since you bring that up there, having a go bag is one element, being prepared. The other one is actually having an evacuation plan. And obviously panicking is not a very good plan. But we have, which a lot of people use, including the Red Cross, is that the 6 Ps of evacuation. This can be found, I think we've sent it to you, but this can also be found on our website at ocfa.org. under safety. And a 6 Ps, make sure that you get your people and your pets ready, right? So everybody's on the same page. And so you're not running around in circles when the order comes in to evacuate. Next up is make sure that you have your important papers and documents ready to go. Either have it saved up in an electronic file or something like that where you can easily get to it. And then have your phone, charged and ready. And that's one of those things where we encourage people to always have gas in your car, right? You don't want to, if you're the kind of person that runs on fumes before you decide to get gas, that's an issue when it comes time for evacuation. And then, having your prescriptions, you may not have extra prescriptions, but at least during the evacuation moment, you have a checklist of, boom, 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 you go down the list. I'm going to grab my prescriptions. I'm going to grab my glasses also, right? And so have all those things. And then if you have anything, important or meaningful to you that you would be devastated if you lost, make sure that you have a way to get that. So pictures being, one of them. I was on a fire years ago on duty, and it was frustrating because it was actually burning through the city I live in, right? And it was the freeway complex fire. And I was on the Anaheim hillside while my wife and small children at the time were home alone, packing the car with pictures and photos. And, it's not fun. And believe me, when we ask people to evacuate their homes, we don't take it lightly. We don't just arbitrarily do that. We have very critical decision-making points that we tell people, okay, you are under evacuation warning right now versus you are now under evacuation order. And when it comes to these major emergencies, you will see our staff from the OCFA working hand in hand with the Sheriff's Department or the local police agency to make sure that we give people plenty of time. The frustrating part is when people don't want to leave. Right? That's the part that really gets to us. And then continuing here, having your personal electronics, right? If you don't have one of those spare little battery packs that are, get one. They're not expensive. And that's an extra charge for your phone during an emergency. And, we rely so much on cell phones now, whether, we like it or not. And, but you got to have a contingency plan for backup just in case the cell service goes down. All right. And what if you were at home evacuating and your significant other or family members were away from your home? Do you have a place to meet just in case you can't get on the phone with them? And then they always encourage to have someone out of state to have contact with also, which is, so if for some reason all of the cell phone lines are down here, eventually I can contact somebody out of state. My kids can do the same thing. My wife can do the same thing, whatever it is, so you can reunite somehow. So evacuation plus the reunification piece of it. And then last, but definitely not least, have your wallet nearby, plastic, but just in case all the power is down, you're not going to be able to use ATM. So, have cash also.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a good plan. Definitely good ideas. And then one last thing before we close out is fireworks. We're coming up, here on the holiday and, summertime just in general. What would you say about that?
Well, Laguna Woods, as far as I know, no fireworks are allowed in that city. And, so you may be visiting somewhere else that allows fireworks, but just keep in mind that just because you are using safe and sane and legal fireworks doesn't mean that they're not dangerous, right? And so they should be utilized by responsible adults, right? Capable, responsible adults. And I don't just say adults alone, because the key is you have to be responsible. And so that's one of those things there. And then also, once again, on our website, we have a whole checklist of things that you can be cautious of. I've seen it. I've been doing this for a while, and it's tragic. It really bums many of us out when we go on a fire and we look after the fact and just think this could have been avoided.
Right. Yeah. What if? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for the information. I appreciate it. And we'll catch up with you guys again soon.
It was great. Thank you very much.
Okay. And we'll be right back after this.
I was battling 4 different kinds of cancer, all in stage 4. Although I was determined to fight, I had also put my affairs in order. But my team at Hoag refused to give up and enrolled me in a phase 1 clinical trial. This changed everything.
Hoag Family Cancer Institute has the largest Phase 1 clinical trial program in Orange County and ranks in the top 10% of cancer programs nationwide. Deb became one of only 12 people in the world with advanced lung cancer to receive this leading-edge cancer therapy, and it saved her life.
Hoag is leading the way in some of the most advanced personalized medicine in cancer with molecular imaging and therapy, immunotherapy, and a multitude of other patient-driven clinical research trials.
My cancer care was a life or death decision, and I chose Hoag.
Now more than ever, your healthcare choices matter. Choose Hoag.
Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Paul Ortiz, who is the general manager of Village Television. But today he is here on behalf of Thrive. Well, Paul, I don't think we ever get to sit in this situation, so this is great.
Yeah, it's good to be on the set and talk a little bit about something else in Village Television. Thrive has been a process that we've been through for a long time now. It actually started with Humans in New York. That was a book that was pretty popular in 2010. And a lot of residents in the community thought, well, wow, we could do something like that here in Laguna Woods. And about 3 to 4 years later, we started Thrive, and this Thrive, at first it was a committee, and then it became kind of a task force, and now we're kind of just the Thrive project. So we work on different things. The centenarian program was something we produced about 2 years ago, and that was very popular. We got to meet a lot of different people. And luckily, we have the support of the video club to put those kind of programs together, and that got us some traction and got some feel-good things, because that's really what Thrive is about. It's trying to get people. There's so much negativity, right, in social media and television, that we all thought, like, let's bring something positive, and let's focus on people in our community that are really prospering during their time here in Laguna Woods Village. And that's really the main objective of Thrive the last couple of years, and the centenarian program was a great example of that.
And now I also interview other people who are part of Thrive, like Beth Perrick, who I interviewed last time. And you have kind of a campaign. Kindness was one, and then now we're going to go into kindness and resilience. I think because of COVID-19, there's been a lot of great stories that have come out of that. Right,
and that's kind of this process. So we had a lot of, like I said, traction with the centenarian program, and then we had some projects we wanted to work on, and then the COVID hit, and that kind of like set us back again. But now we're really ramping up, that we can talk about kindness and resilience and stamina and some of the things that we're able to work with the recreation department. As the community starts to open, that's going to be our entry to really getting the message out that we want to the community. So hopefully once we have Woodstock and some of the baby boomer events and some of the health expos out in the community, we'll have a little table or a little booth set up with some of our stuff and kind of talk to people about how they can be a part of Thrive. We're always looking for residents that are having a story. Cindy Whitney is on our task force as well, and she does a great job of interviewing guests. So we get to hear their story about, what have they been doing to really, get through this COVID, and really what are they doing to thrive each day, not just playing golf, but, maybe helping, your neighbor or traveling somewhere and getting food for somebody. Yeah, those are the stories we're looking for.
So there was a situation where we were actually looking for volunteers to help people who were maybe stuck at their home to be able to get the vaccination. So, and a lot of people did come forward to help those people, and that way we were able to visit them personally to give them the vaccine. So that's probably one of those stories.
Yeah, those are exactly the kind of stories that we're looking for, and we're hoping to continue with not only the members in our task force, But obviously, as the word gets out, we'll be able to, kind of encourage other people to, participate. Participating is the big key, when we're trying to put a campaign together.
Right.
The Video Club is also doing some wonderful PSAs. Tom just gave me 5 new ones yesterday. So you'll be seeing that on the cable networks and on Village Television. And it's mostly encouragement and quotes, I had done a video for Thrives about a year or so ago, and it showed all of California. I just wanted to give people, a different perspective. Everybody's kind of stuck at home, especially back in March and April of last year. And so we put a bunch of quotes that had Thrive within the quotes, and that was kind of, that actually received a nice response from the community. And now the Video Club, and Tom Nash especially, is producing little PSAs like that. And then, of course, we have our Thrive program, and that airs every Thursday at 9:30. And Scott Marvel has been our producer since the very beginning.
Right.
And his shows just get better and better and better. And unfortunately, with COVID, we've had to do show a lot of reruns just because, we're not making contact with people yet.
Right.
But that just tells you how good a job Scott Marvel did with these programs, because they're really evergreen, because they can last forever, because he's just telling stories about the Aquadads or traveling or another resident or friendship that they have. And that show does air every Thursday at 9:30 here on Village Television, and it's well watched, and we're proud to have it.
Well, it sounds great, and I'm sure you guys have a lot going on for the rest of the year, and we look forward to seeing more of that.
Absolutely. You'll see more PSAs on Village Television and throughout the cable networks. And then as soon as we heard Jeff Parker say recently, as soon as some of the facilities start to open up, we'll slowly start to ramp up our campaigns, and we'll be sure to get that information out to our community, and hopefully they'll be able to help us out as well.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And remember that the Thrive campaign for this year is kindness and resilience. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, our movie for today is called Firecracker, Miss Firecracker, so certainly appropriate for the weekend. And you can watch this at 2 p.m., unfortunately without subtitles this time, and 6 p.m. also without subtitles. And that is brought to you by Harvard Eye Associates. Let's take a quick look at our weather. Looking real good for the weekend. It actually looks like we're not going to have fog for our 4th of July, so that is really good news. We are looking at 79-63 today, 81-64 tomorrow, and then 79-63 on Monday. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Have a great 4th of July holiday. I will see you back here on Tuesday, as we will not have a show on Monday because it is a holiday for us. So have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll leave you with some fireworks displays of where you can see the fireworks. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.